It's now been 3 days, and my hair has gotten very thin. My bursts of anger have gotten worse, but what's strange is that the anger wasn't like me. Whenever I'm angry, I usually forget everything in a haze, but when I return to normal, I'd have lost a lot of strength. This time, it felt different. It felt like something else was brewing beneath the surface, something sinister and malevolent. My friend Lana needed to come back home to collect some of Fuzzy's things. However, when she arrived, I felt something new this time. No anger, just pure, unadulterated evil. It was as if the anger had been a stepping stone to something far more sinister. I wanted to kill my best friend. I wanted to kill Lana, I muttered to myself, horrified by the thoughts racing through my mind. It was messed up, utterly disturbing. It would have been easy, of course. One swift swipe to the neck with a knife, or perhaps poison in her coffee. And after that, I could deal with my stupid cat. But why was I thinking like this? Lana finally came over, and I struggled with all my might not to do anything to cause her harm. She tried to make small talk, asking if I was okay, but in a way that wasn't suspicious. I managed to get her to leave without any commotion, but the struggle against my own mind left me drained and terrified. With what little strength I had left, I forced myself to go to the hospital. The doctors didn't believe me at first, but I tried my best to explain before blanking out. When I awoke, I saw many terrified faces looking at me. I was tied to a bed, and the head doctor spoke to me, his voice tinged with concern. "Are you okay? Are you feeling normal?" he asked, his eyes scanning me for any signs of distress. "My body hurts all over, but I'm not feeling that bad," I replied, my voice hoarse from screaming. The doctor explained what had happened when I blacked out. Apparently, I had vomited a black liquid onto the ground before wildly attacking the staff. Luckily, no one was hurt, and they were able to pin me down. The nurse I had spoken to earlier told them about the weird creature living inside me, prompting them to examine me further. They worked tirelessly to remove whatever it was, and when they showed me what they had found, I felt my blood run cold. Inside what looked like a giant fish aquarium was a creature that sent shivers down my spine. Compared to the one inside Fuzzy, this one was massive, resembling a serpent with a circular head and razor-sharp teeth. It was about 3 feet long, and its black, glossy exterior seemed to pulse with malevolence. The doctors told me that this creature was intelligent because it had grown from inside me and was making its way to my brain. If I hadn't come in when I did, it might have fully taken over my brain, but what that would have meant, they couldn't say. All they knew was that they needed to study this creature further. As I lay there, still reeling from the shock of it all, I couldn't help but wonder, what other horrors lay hidden beneath the surface, waiting to emerge? I brought Fuzzy back home, relieved to have her safe and sound. I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that hung heavy in the air. It wasn't just me anymore. My neighbors were starting to experience the same symptoms I had when the creature was inside me. At first, it was subtle, small changes that I barely noticed. Mrs. Johnson's hair seemed a bit thinner, and Mr. Thompson's normally jovial demeanor had turned sour. But as the days passed, those changes grew more pronounced, more disturbing. I watched in horror as they began to exhibit the same signs: thinning hair, uncontrollable bursts of anger, and a disturbing sense of malevolence lurking behind their eyes. It was like a nightmare come to life, spreading like a virus throughout our once peaceful neighborhood. By the end of the week, everyone around me was in a zombie-like state, their bodies no longer their own, controlled by the insidious creatures that had taken up residence inside them. I felt utterly helpless, trapped in my own home, with no way to escape. The banging on the doors and windows grew louder and more frantic with each passing moment, as if my neighbors were trying to break through and get to me. I huddled in a corner, clutching Fuzzy tightly to my chest, praying for some miracle to save me from this living nightmare. But as the hours stretched on and the banging grew louder, I knew that there was no escape. I was trapped, alone in my house with the monsters that used to be my friends and neighbors. "Please, someone help me," I whispered to myself, tears streaming down my face. But there was no one left to hear me, no one left to save me from the horrors that lurked just beyond my door. And as the banging grew louder still, I realized that this was the end. I was alone, surrounded by madness and despair, with no hope of escape. With a heavy heart, I closed my eyes and waited for the inevitable, knowing that whatever fate awaited me on the other side would be far worse than anything I could imagine.